Investigator's log, December 12, 2025. This archive item was never meant to exist. The Cleer Police Station burned to its foundations on the afternoon of February 11, 1983. According to the official inquest, the fire began inside interview room 1 and spread with such speed and intensity that no one inside the building survived. That, however, is not accurate. One person did survive. Mrs. Judith Hallowell, the station's stenographer, walked out of the building moments before the roof collapsed. Her survival was described at the time as miraculous. The coroner's report used the phrase physically impossible. She provided a witness statement in the early hours of the following morning while undergoing medical assessment. 3 days later, she was found dead in her flat. Her body showed extensive full-thickness burns, yet nothing inside the flat had been touched by flame. No scorch patterns, no smoke damage, not even heat distortion on the air vents. Her statement is the only surviving account of what occurred inside interview room 1. All other paper records were destroyed. The magnetic tape recovered from the scene was fused into a single glassy mess. Only 15 seconds was salvageable. The following is the post-incident witness statement taken from Mrs. Judith Hallowell, the sole survivor of the St. Cleer interview room inferno. This document was dictated during her medical observation and temporary custody at Bodmin Station in the early hours of 12th February 1983. This statement is the last known writing produced by Mrs. Hallowell. I will read her statement in full. Statement begins. Witness statement of Mrs. Judith Hallowell. Typed from oral dictation by P.C. Rowan. Formatting reflects original transcription. Statement commenced at 02:14. Interviewing officer P.C. Rowan. I, Judith Ann Hallowell, stenographer assigned to interview room 1, give this voluntary statement regarding the events of 11th of February 1983. The following account was spoken aloud while I received medical treatment for burns sustained during the incident. I am unable to write due to the condition of my hands. I arrived at the station at 08:42. Interview room 1 had a faint electrical smell as if a fuse had blown during the night. I reported this to Duty Inspector Hartley, who said maintenance had been in the night before. I entered the room, set up my typewriter and waited for D.I. Thorne. At 09:11, Inspector Thorne entered with the suspect, Arthur Trevivick. He looked exhausted and soot-stained. His clothes smelled of burned wiring. I began typing the interview as normal. For the first several minutes, nothing unusual happened. The first sign of the problem was not visual, but auditory. The wall lights made a faint clicking sound, like the filaments were straining under pressure. I noted it mentally, but continued. At 09:19, Mr. Trevivick said, "It lives in the wires. It breathes in them." When I typed his words, the typewriter ribbon trembled. Not mechanically, it pulsed, as though something beneath the keys shifted. The temperature in the room rose sharply. Inspector Thorne became irritable, thinking we were just being unprofessional. I removed my cardigan. The heat continued to climb. By 09:21, I felt a humming inside my skull. Not in the air. When I placed my fingers on the table, the wood was trembling. Mr. Trevivick pressed himself into the corner and said, "It followed me. It wants out." Inspector Thorne raised his voice to regain control. When he raised it, the hum intensified. The room grew hotter still. I saw steam rising from the radiator pipe, though the radiator was off. At 09:24, my hands began typing without instruction. I need to be clear, I did not have control of my fingers. They moved on their own, striking with force. When I tried to pull away, there was resistance, as if the machine itself was holding me there. The message that appeared was not mine. Thorne asks what light is. Light is hunger. Light is a mouth. Light is the shape that waits inside burning things. Inspector Thorne accused me of mocking him. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. My jaw would not move. The hum resolved into a voice, not in the air, but through the typewriter. Each word came as a vibration through my bones. Arthur listens. Arthur warns. Arthur is mine. The overhead lights brightened far beyond safe levels. The metal housings discoloured to orange. I smelt burning fabric. Inspector Thorne's jacket began to smoke across his shoulders. He didn't notice until the heat was visible. Mr. Trevivick screamed that the typewriter was moving. I saw it too, keys rising and falling with no contact, then several at once, a frenzy of motion. The machine gripped my hands, heat surged through the keys. My skin blistered instantly. When Inspector Thorne tried to pull me away, my fingertips stretched, tearing free. The voice, the thing, spoke again. Burning makes shape. Burning makes door. Open the door. The heat became unbearable. Inspector Thorne staggered, his hair crisping. Mr. Tretherick collapsed. The last word the machine forced onto the pages was ignition. I smelled my own flesh burning. Regarding the fire, Inspector Thorne and Mr. Tretherick did not burn normally. They ignited from within. There was no initial spread to the furnishings, walls or ceiling. For a few seconds the flames clung only to them, as if their bodies were the fuel. Only after they collapsed did the fire move outwards. It did not travel along the surfaces like an ordinary blaze. It leapt from them in sudden bursts, from their mouths, from their eye sockets, from the cracks in their skin, straight into the ceiling panels and wiring. The room went from contained heat to full inferno in moments. When the heat touched me, it felt as though something was testing my skin, pressing, seeking. It paused, then withdrew. I felt watched, assessed. It chose not to take me. I don't think it was mercy. I think it wanted me alive, a witness, or a messenger. I left the room while the station burned behind me. No sprinklers, just the hum in the wires. As I stepped into the corridor, choking on the heat, I saw Officer Patel running towards interview room 1. He must have heard the screaming. I tried to warn him. I remember shouting for him not to enter, but the fire moved faster than my breath. The flames did not follow the walls or the ceiling. They did not roll outwards. They left the room in a single shape, like a stream of white-orange light, passing beside me without touching me. It went straight into Officer Patel. He ignited instantly, not from his clothes, but from inside his body. His scream was brief. The fire burst out of his mouth and eyes before he collapsed. Then I heard the others. Screams echoing through the whole station, offices, corridors, the holding cells, one voice after another, each cut short by a burst of heat so intense it warped the air. The fire, it leapt from person to person, travelling by proximity alone. It was choosing them, but not me. It passed me again as it moved deeper into the station. A rush of dry, blistering heat, close enough to scorch my hair, close enough to peel my skin, but it did not touch me. I do not know why. Even here in the medical room, I can still hear the hum faintly in the wires. It comes and goes. Sometimes it feels like it is waiting for me to stop speaking. I do not want to return to my flat. I'm afraid the humming will follow me. I still don't know why it chose me, why it kept me alive and allowed me to be the only one that walked out. Signed, Judith Ann Hallowell. Dictated, PC Rowan, transcribing officer, 0237, 12th of February, 1983. Statement ends. There is, however, an additional fragment, the only surviving 15 seconds of the interview room recording recovered from the fused remains of the magnetic tape. The audio is severely fragmented and degraded. I have spliced together what was recoverable. Pay attention to the voice that is heard throughout. Please be advised that the following segment is disturbing and may be distressing for sensitive listeners. Recording begins.
Mrs. Hallowell, please just stick to the typing. They burned, you see. They all burned.
Recording ends. Mrs. Hallowell's death has never been satisfactorily explained. Her flat showed no sign of fire, no heat bloom, no structural compromise, yet her body bore the same pattern of thermal trauma seen in the victims inside the station. Ignition from within, a heat event without a source. The phenomenon she described, fire leaping person to person, choosing its victims, aligns disturbingly with other archive items that suggest the entity does not simply inhabit electrical systems. It moves through them, it feeds on them, and in rare cases it uses human beings as conductors. Mrs. Hallowell seems to have been spared for a time. Whether she was meant to witness, to carry something outward, or simply to prove that the fire could choose, I cannot say. If you have encountered unusual electrical interference, unexplained heat events, or patterns in static, you may submit your reports at tavenend.com. Listener accounts remain crucial to the ongoing preservation and understanding of this archive. If you have questions or theories, join the discussion at discord.tavenend.com. And if you wish to support the digitisation and safeguarding of these recordings, you can do so at patreon.tavenend.com. Please remember to like this entry and leave a comment. It helps the archive remain discoverable and ensures that these events are not forgotten. Before I close this entry, there is one more item currently undergoing preservation, a marine device this time. Archive item 34, a voyage data recorder recovered from the Spirit of Tavenend, our local lifeboat, found drifting unmanned 5 miles off Padstow after the equinox storm of 2019. The RNLI deemed the audio unrecoverable. They were not entirely wrong. Large sections are corrupted beyond recognition, but there is a segment 15 minutes in length that survived. The final transmission of coxswain Braden Holt and his crew. The rescue that never came. The storm that sang back, and the song that pulled them under. End of entry.